Let me paint a quick picture. You get to the airport early. You feel prepared. Everything's going smoothly. You've got your carry-on, the same one you've used for years. You haven't had any problems before. And then, right at the gate, an agent stops you. They point to the sizer. And your bag doesn't quite go in. Now people are behind you. There's a line forming. And suddenly you're being told you may have to check it and pay for it. I've been seeing this happen more and more lately, and it's catching a lot of people completely off guard. So let's talk about what changed and how to make sure it doesn't happen to you. What's interesting is this isn't happening to people who don't travel much. It's happening to experienced travelers, people who've been doing this for years. Same bag, same routine, same habits. And all of a sudden, something that always worked doesn't anymore. The size limits didn't really change. Most airlines still list the same measurements they've listed for years. What changed is enforcement. The rules didn't change, but how strictly they're applied did. There's less flexibility now, less room for error. And here's the part most travelers don't realize. A lot of that tighter enforcement isn't a person making a judgment call anymore. It's a machine. Several major airlines have started rolling out automated bag scanners recently, and they're expanding to more airports all the time. These scanners measure your bag instantly, and they don't make exceptions. If your bag is even slightly over, the system flags it, and there's no agent to talk it through with. Now, here's where it gets interesting and a little confusing. Not every airline is going in the same direction. American Airlines, for example, actually removed the metal sizers from many of their gates. Their agents are being told to use their own judgment instead and to err on the side of the customer when they're unsure. Which means the experience at the gate now genuinely depends on which airline you're flying. Same bag, same day, two different outcomes. And for travelers over 60 who've been using the same bag for years, that shift can feel like it came out of nowhere. So here's what to do before your next trip. Measure the full bag, not just the fabric part. Include the wheels, the handles. Measure them extended, then measure them retracted. Also, the outside pockets, even that expansion zipper if it's open. Because at the gate, that's exactly what they're looking at, the whole thing. And if any part of it doesn't fit, the whole bag becomes an issue. One thing worth mentioning, especially for travelers over 60. Our bags tend to change quietly over the years. A few medical items added here, reading glasses there, maybe a small first aid kit. It happens slowly enough that we don't notice, until the bag that fit perfectly 5 years ago suddenly doesn't. And here's a quiet detail that catches a lot of experienced travelers off guard. If you've packed your bag to the point where it's bulging, even slightly, gate agents are trained to spot that immediately. The bag might technically fit the size limits, but if it looks stuffed, if it bulges past its own frame, that visual alone is enough to draw a closer look. So when you measure your bag, measure it fully packed, not empty. That expansion zipper exists for a reason, but the moment you use it, you've crossed into the territory where you're going to draw attention. Now here's where things get a little more complicated than most people expect. First, your ticket matters, not just your airline, your specific ticket. What I didn't realize until recently is this. 2 passengers on the same flight can have completely different carry-on rules depending on what fare they booked. So before your next trip, there are 3 things worth pausing to think about. The airline you're flying, the specific ticket you booked, and the full route you'll travel, every leg of it. None of these used to matter much. All 3 of them matter now. That last one matters more than people expect, especially for travelers over 60 who often book connecting flights to get better fares or avoid overnight layovers. Here's why. Your first flight might be fine. Everything goes smoothly. Big plane, Plenty of bin space, no issues. And then the second flight. Smaller plane, different setup, less space. And suddenly your bag becomes an issue. The simplest way to protect yourself is to check the bag rules for every leg of your trip, not just the first one. If your connection is on a smaller aircraft, you'll know before you leave home, and you can decide then whether to check the bag or repack lighter. The decision is so much easier at the kitchen table than at the gate. And there's a second kind of connection that surprises even seasoned travelers, and it's worth knowing about if you ever fly internationally. When you book a trip with a partner airline, say you book through Delta, but your second flight is operated by KLM, or you book through American, but you're connecting onto British Air, your bag has to meet both airlines' rules. And those rules are often very different. U.S. airlines rarely weigh carry-ons. European and Asian airlines often do, and the weight limit can be as low as 18 pounds, sometimes 15. A bag that walked onto your Delta flight without a second look can stop you cold at the gate in Frankfurt or Berlin, where staff are weighing every bag. So when you're booking, look at every leg of the trip. Find the strictest airline on your itinerary and pack to that standard, not the easiest one. The strictest. That single habit prevents a lot of stress in places where you don't speak the language. I learned this one myself standing at a gate in Denver, watching the woman ahead of me get her bag measured, and I looked down at my own bag and thought, that could be me. I went home and measured it properly for the first time in years, and sure enough, with everything I'd added over time, a small fan, prescription medications, my Kindle, it was right at the edge of the limit. So I adjusted. Now let's talk about weight. Even if your bag fits the size requirements, if it's heavy, that creates a different kind of problem for travelers over 60. Lifting it, turning it, getting it into the overhead bin, and if you're feeling rushed, or if the aisle is crowded, that's when it gets genuinely difficult. If the bag feels too heavy to lift comfortably, there's no need to push through it. The simplest thing is to turn to a fellow passenger and ask directly. Most people are glad to help when asked. You may have noticed that flight attendants often don't lift bags themselves, and it's worth knowing why. It's not unwillingness. Most airlines now have policies that ask their crew not to lift passenger bags because the repetitive strain is one of the most common injuries in their job. What they can do is help find someone to assist or steady the bag once it's in motion. The same is true when the flight lands. Ask the person nearest the bin before everyone starts moving. Asked early and asked directly, the answer is almost always yes. So here's a simple way to think about it. If your bag feels a little awkward at home, it's going to feel worse at the airport. And the physical cost of that, on your shoulders, your back, your knees, matters more at our age than it did 20 years ago. Here's your highest risk moment, not your first flight, the connection, because that's when you're more likely to have a smaller aircraft, tighter enforcement, or a gate agent dealing with an overbooked bin situation. Now let's talk about something that matters specifically to travelers over 60, and it's something people don't always think about until they're standing at the gate. Medications. Because your carry-on isn't just a suitcase. It's where the important things are. I watched a woman in Phoenix step up to the gate like she'd done 100 times before. Her bag looked completely normal. Nothing oversized, nothing unusual. But when she tried to fit it into the sizer, it didn't quite make it. Half an inch, if that. And you could see it in her face. That moment of confusion, then frustration, and then that uncomfortable feeling, because now all the attention is on you. Her medication pouch was buried in the middle, under clothes and toiletries, and now she's trying to reorganize everything while people are waiting. That's a tough spot to be in. So here's a better way to handle it. Keep medications together. Keep them easy to reach. And don't pack your bags so tightly that you have to dig through everything to get to them. Because if your bag does get stopped, you want to be able to access what you need quickly and calmly. Now, here's something else that can draw more attention than you expect: your personal item. Most people focus on the carry-on, but if your personal item is too large or too full, that can actually trigger closer scrutiny of everything you're carrying. So keep it simple. Something that slides under the seat easily. No pushing, no stuffing, just easy. For travelers over 60, our personal items tend to grow over time. Medications, reading glasses, a snack for medication timing, maybe a sweater. All of it matters, and all of it earns its place. But the personal item still has to fit easily, or the whole bag draws attention. If this is helping you feel more prepared and less stressed about travel, I'd love for you to subscribe. That's exactly why I started this channel, to make sure travelers over 60 have someone in their corner when we travel. Now, here's an idea that might feel a little unexpected. Sometimes, checking a bag is actually the easier option. I know that goes against what you usually hear. Everyone says carry-on is better, faster, more convenient. But think about it. No lifting, no overhead bins, no stress at the gate, no worrying about whether it's going to fit or whether you'll be stopped. I talked to a couple who started doing this. One shared checked suitcase, small personal items only. And they said something that really stuck with me. For the first time, the airport just felt easy again. And that says a lot, because arriving at our destination with energy left to enjoy the trip we planned, that's worth more than the convenience of avoiding baggage claim. So here's a simple habit to build into your travel routine. Before every trip, do a quick 4-step check. First, measure your bag, the whole thing, fully packed. Second, check your airline and your specific ticket type. Third, check your full route, especially if you have connections, and especially if any leg is operated by an international airline. And fourth, make sure your medications and medical items are packed where you can reach them easily. It takes maybe 2 minutes, but it prevents a lot of stress later. One more quick thing. You'll also need a real ID compliant license or passport for domestic flights. Most states have updated their IDs, but it's worth checking before you leave home, especially if you haven't renewed your license in several years, which is more common than people realize for travelers over 60. Travel hasn't really gotten harder. It's just gotten less forgiving. And once you understand that, you can adjust. You make a few small changes, and suddenly things feel easier again, more predictable, more comfortable. And that's really what we want. Travel that feels calm, manageable, and enjoyable. Not stressful, not embarrassing, not exhausting, just easier, the way travel should feel. And once your carry-on is handled the right way, here's what almost nobody realizes. There's a completely separate set of money-saving advantages built into the system that airlines don't advertise, and most travelers over 60 never learn exist. Things like senior fares that are only available by calling directly, discounts that genuinely pay for themselves, and booking strategies that consistently beat chasing the cheapest fare. But you have to know where to look and exactly what to ask. So go watch the next video now and make your next trip even smoother from start to finish.